fifth graders, this is for anyone that missed the Zoom on Friday, December 4th. And we of course started with a number talk, continuing with our topics from before. And again, you can be solving these in your head and pausing and trying to figure out as we go. But the very first problem we did was 7/14 plus 7/12. You can go ahead and click pause and try to figure that out, and then press play when you're ready. All right, welcome back. Some of the strategies that people said they used. I had some individuals that broke up 7/12. They recognized 7/14 as a half. Said, well, 7/14 equals 1/2, and then they broke up 7/12 into 6/12 and 1/12 because they knew that 6/12 equals 1/2. And the reason they did that, sorry about the bell there, is because 1/2 plus 1/2 equals a whole. And then there's 1/12 left over. So we'd have a final answer of 1 and 1/12. Some other individuals said, okay, well, you know what? I know that 7/14 equals 1/2. And I'm trying to add 7/12 to that. So I'm going to multiply this by 6/6 to get 6/12. And then they did 6/12 plus 7/12 to get 13/12, which is 1 and 1/12. So those were the two ways that were discussed for that first one. Then I put another problem up there, and the problem I put up there was 7/10 plus 9/18. You can go ahead and try to get an answer to that one. All right, for this one main strategy came out. They recognized this 9/18 as being equal to 1/2. And then they broke the 7/10 up into 5/10 plus 2/10. And they took the 5/10 here and the 9/18 here, which equals a half, and said 9/18 plus 5/10 equals 1, because a half plus a half is a whole. And then there's that extra 2/10. And this is fine, and I did extend this to say, hey, 2/10, there is a simpler way to write that. We can divide each by 2 to get 1 and 1/5. So 1 and 1/5 is simplest form for that. So that was our number talk portion of today. We then moved into doing some problems in our workbook. So open up your workbook. We're going to go back to page 29. That's where we were yesterday. So again, you're on math workbook page 29. And we did a couple of problems on page 29 just to refresh our memories on what we covered yesterday. And yesterday, it was all about using estimates to check to see if our answers are reasonable. So it says here, estimate. I have 6 2/9. We first have to figure out which whole number is 6 2/9 closest to. Now it's either going to be 6 or the next one up, 7. If you look at the 2/9, that means it's 2/9 away from 6. I'd have to go another 7/9 to get to 7, so this is closer to 6. 2 5/6 is between 2 and 3. And 5/6 means it's 5/6 away from 2, but one more hop would bring me to 6/6, which would be 3. So 2 5/6 is closer to 3. So my estimate would be 6 minus 3, which is 3. And then we move to finding the actual differences. So you can take your whiteboard and go ahead and work through this problem. We're going to solve 6 2/9 minus 2 5/6. So that's the problem that's right here. I'm just solving it on regular paper because they don't really give you a whole lot of room in this workbook to do that. All right, I kind of paused everybody before we did this and said, hey, is 54 the LCM of 9 and 6? And the answer is no. The lowest common multiple, or least common multiple, it's also known as, between 9 and 6 is 18. 18 is the first number that I would run into if I counted by 9s and counted by 6s. So I would have to multiply 2/9 by 2/2 in order to get 18 as a denominator. And I would multiply 6 by 3 to get an 18 for a denominator. And you know I have to do the top and bottom, otherwise it won't be equivalent. So the actual problem we're solving now is 6 and 2 times 2 is 4/18 minus, my 2 stays, 5 times 3 is 15/18. All right, from here, hopefully you're not just doing 15 minus 4 because subtraction is not commutative. I need to borrow from this 6 and make it 5. And when I borrow one whole in this case means 18/18. See, there's not enough room in the workbook to do this. So we would have 5 and 18 plus 4 is 22/18 minus 2 and 15/18. All right, now we can go ahead and subtract. 22 minus 15. You could count up from 15 to 22. I would count like 15, 20, that's 5, and then another 2 is 7. Or you could line it up vertically, 22 minus 15. Either way you do it, you're going to get 7/18, and 5 minus 2 is 3. So we have 3 and 7/18. All right, so now we want to see, is our answer reasonable? It needs to be pretty close to 3. Now I know 9/18 would be a half, so this is still, it's less than 3 1/2. I would say our estimate is reasonable. It's close. All right, look at number 9. I have 4/7 plus 7/9. And we have to decide if this 4/7 is closer to 0, 1/2, or 1. I did end up drawing this one out because there was a little bit of confusion on, okay, which one is it closest to? So you can always draw it out. 4/7 is between 0 and 1. I know that because there's not a whole number in front of it. So I need to cut this up into 7 pieces, so I need 6 lines. And 4/7 would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in looking at this, it looks like the halfway mark is right about there. If I folded this number line in half, I'd have the same amount on either side. So the question is 4/7 closer to 0, 1, or 1/2? Do you see how close that is to 1/2? So 4/7, I would use 1/2 in my estimate. 7/9 wasn't quite as confusing. A lot of people noticed that, oh, I only need 2 more 9ths to get to 1 whole. It's only 2 away from 1 whole. So they used 1 for that. That means my estimate would be 1/2 plus 1, which is 1 1/2. Now it's our job to find the sum. So this is where you can get your whiteboard again. And we want to add 4/7 plus 7/9. 4/7 plus 7/9. So you can go ahead and solve that on your whiteboard and press play when you're ready to see how it's done. Check your work. Okay, I would have to multiply each fraction by the opposite fraction's denominator because the LCM is the product of 7 and 9. So I multiply this by 9/9 and this by 7/7. So my problem I'm going to solve is 36/63 plus 49/63. When you add the 36 plus the 49, it's totally okay to set it up like this if you want and say, okay, well 6 plus 9, that's 15, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 85. You could also do a little trick where you take 1 away from this 36 and give it to the 49 and make it 50, and then I'd have 50 plus 35, which is 85. Either way is fine. So we end up getting 85/63 for our answer. We want to make that a mixed number. So I can fit one group of 63/63 into 85/63. And then I need to see how many are left over. And again, you could just set this right up and say, okay, 85 minus 63, 5 minus 3 is 2, 8 minus 6 is 2. Or you can say 63, 73, 83, okay, so that's 20, 84, 85, that's another 2. However you want to do it. We get 1 and 22/63. So that's going to right on the line. 1 and 22/63, and I have to ask myself, is that reasonable based on my estimate of 1 1/2? Yeah, that is definitely close, so we are probably right. Okay, the next thing we did was we broke out into some little breakout rooms and we tackled this puzzled penguin problem here. So turn your workbook page to page 30, and we're going to talk through this one. It says, dear math students, I got 2 answers below marked wrong. 3 1/4 minus 1 7/8. Puzzle Penguin got 2 3/8. And 7/8 plus 4/9, he got 11/17. My friend said she always uses estimation to make sure her answers are reasonable. How could I use estimation to check my answers? Your friend, Puzzle Penguin. So basically, he wants to know, like, how do you use estimation to check? What could I have done to see if my answer was way off? We're going to walk him through what we just learned. So we just learned that instead of using 3 1/4 to use estimation, I would round that to the nearest whole number. So 3 1/4, you have to ask yourself, is this closer to 3 or to 4? It's only 1/4 away from 3. So we can start off by saying, change 3 1/4 to 3. And we also have 1 7/8. Now I have to ask myself, is that closer to 1 or is it closer to 2? It's only 1/8 away from 2, but it's 7/8 away from 1. So we're going to change 1 7/8 to 2. So that's our first step. Then, this is a subtraction problem. We would do 3 minus 2 to get 1. Now notice, the answer he got was 2 3/8. Is 2 3/8 close to 1? Nope. So he would be able to see that 2 3/8 was incorrect based on that. Now for this other one, I have 7/8 plus 4/9, and he got 11/17. So we would have to change 7/8 to either 0, 1/2, or 1. What is 7/8 closest to? Well, it's only 1/8 away from 1. So for the second one, you can say, change 7/8 to 1. And we have 4/9 up here. 4/9. So this was another one I drew out because we weren't really sure. Is that closer to 0, 1/2, or 1? So if I draw out 4/9, I'm going to put a 0 and a 1. I need 9 lines here, or 9 sections. So I'm going to draw 8 lines. I wonder how many I have here. Oh, do I have 8 lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, so close. Did the best I could. All right, if I have 4/9, 1, 2, 3, 4, I end up right here. And it looks like the halfway point is right about there. So if I have to ask myself, is this dot closer to 0, 1/2, or 1? The answer would be 1/2. So we would change change the 11/17 to 1/2. All right, then we're gonna add 1 plus 1/2 to get 1 1/2. Now, Puzzled Penguin, if he saw that the estimate was 1 1/2, hopefully he'd notice, hey, my answer here, 11/17, isn't even 1 whole. I would need 17/17. That's way too low. I'm guessing Puzzled Penguin may have subtracted, or I don't, oh, you know what it looks like? It looks like he just added across the top and added across the bottom and didn't get a common denominator. But using these estimates will help you to figure out if your answer's on track. So that's what we're gonna do now. In our groups, we finished all the rest of the problems down here. And we don't have to actually solve these problems, which is kind of nice. All we have to do is figure out if the answer is reasonable or not. So looking at 9/10 minus 2/5. Let's say this was a quiz question and you got 1 3/10 for this answer and you want to know, am I right? Is this reasonable? So we're going to do what we just did. Let's use estimation. 9/10 is really close to 10/10, which is 1 whole. So I'm going to round 9/10 to 1 minus, now I have this 2/5, and this was another one I think you'd like to see. When we put 2/5 on a number line, 0 and 2, I need 5 sections, and 2/5 would be right here. Here's about the halfway mark. 2/5 isn't closer to 0, 2/5 is closer to 1/2. So I would use 1/2. And 1 minus 1/2, we don't need any common denominators here. If you have 1 whole and you take 1/2 away, you have 1/2. So my question is, based on our estimate, is our answer reasonable? No, it's too high. 1 3/10 is a lot greater than 1/2. So I'm guessing maybe they added an accident instead of subtracting. That happens all the time, but if you do an estimate like this, you can catch yourself. All right, let's look at the next one. All right, we're gonna use estimation. 2 4/5, is that closer to 2 or 3? It's closer to 3. It's only 1/5 away from 3, but it's 4/5 away from 2. 6 1/6, it's closer to 6 than 7 because it's only 1/6 away from 6. So our estimate is 9. Is 8 29/30 really close to 9? It sure is. 29/30, all I'd need is 1 more 30th to have a whole. So this is like saying 8 plus 1 more. So is our answer reasonable? Yes. 8 29/30 is close to 9. All right, Number 16. I have 11/12 minus 7/8. I want to see, is our answer of 1/24 reasonable? So 11/12. So if you have 11 out of 12, that's really close to having 12/12, which is 1. Minus, if you have 7 out of 8, that's really close to having 8/8, which is 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0. Now you have to ask yourself, is 1/24 close to 0? So let's say I took that stick of gum we talked about yesterday, and I broke it up into 24 little teeny tiny pieces, and I gave you one of those little teeny tiny pieces. How many pieces of gum would it feel like you had in your mouth? Probably none. Yes, 1/24 is really close to 0. So I'm going to say, yes, 1/24 is close to 0. Okay, I have 5 and 5/6 minus 1 and 3/4 and got 5 and 1/12. So let's see, 5 and 5/6. It's either going to be 5 or 6. 5 and 5/6 is closer to 6. It's only 1/6 away from it. 1 and 3/4 would either be 1 or 2. If I have 3/4, that's definitely closer to 2 because I only need 1 more fourth to get there. 6 plus 2 is 8. Is our answer of 5 and 1/12 reasonable when our estimate gave us 8? No. Nope. So we're going to say our answer's too low. It's too low. So we'd want to redo that problem. I'm guessing maybe they subtracted. Okay, we did do the check for understanding at the end, and I said, let's say that you have 6 and 7/8 plus 1 and 9/10. In your head, what math problem would you do to see about what your answer is? And we came up with 6 and 7/8 is close to 7, and 1 and 9/10 is close to 2. So our answer should be about 9. So that would mean this is almost equal to 9. Something new, a little squiggly equal sign. That means almost equal to. And that's what you missed. You're all caught up now. See you soon.